The year is 2024. Do people have masters? Question mark. I've never rattled that off before, so I was damn curious what it would say. So you and I have been raised in a culture where we, people in general, tend to idolize quote unquote rebels. Would you agree? I mean, you could think of Star Wars rebels, you could think of James Dean Rebel Without a Cause. It's echoed in the programming because our masters are also laughing at us. You and I are also surrounded by people who wouldn't do the right thing given the circumstances, given the proper situation or a situation that would necessitate somebody to act and do something from the heart for the good of, you and I. Keep in mind, that's been corrupted as well in recent times for the good of the many and all that other crap. And it's worded a different way, but it's been burlesqued to support the narratives, our master's official narratives. But most people wouldn't do the right fucking thing. And history reflects my assertion if you look into it. That's why you and I are debt slaves and slave stock and a means to an end. So part of the reason I'm rattling that off is there is nothing but proof in terms of the system you and I are a part of being quite literally something that's working against us, not to our benefit, but to our detriment. There's nothing but proof. I mean, our food supply, the air, the water, all these things have been hijacked and weaponized. And some people will agree on aspects of those points, but then they'll still celebrate. They'll praise celebrity puppets. So this is Jamie Lee Curtis. And what I want you to appreciate, and this is where a lot of people, oh, sure, dude, whatever, and they'll freak the fuck out. It's almost as good as saying that you have a black friend, but I do have some black friends too. For those of you out there who, will just assume shit and rattle off bigot or racist or some other just dumb fucking shit because you aren't willing to think for yourself and look into things and appreciate the words that are coming out of my mouth, let alone the numerous things I've rattled off before. Yeah, most people aren't going to do that because it offends them and it clashes with what people have been spoon-fed, what they've been trained to repeat. The narrow horse blinders that they willfully put on. They think in terms of, I shouldn't use the word think in terms of that because it's highly ironic. So celebrity puppets like this this is one of the many aspects to it. They're contributing to disparity. So if you and I have ever struggled financially, what these celebrity puppets are garnering in terms of a monetary, what would the word be? Sorry, I'm also doing 15 things at once as usual. What's the word? They get paid a lot of money, and that causes disparity, which means you and I would make less. There's less of a likelihood that you and I would make enough money to be able to support ourselves and do what we need, let alone get ahead. And this is because one too many things like this are in place. It's part of the fucking system. You also need to appreciate, you got how many kids out there who will rattle off, we live in the Matrix, we live in this, we do this, that, and the other thing. Keep in mind, simulation theory and the multiverse of horse shit are both absolute nonsense and adult fairy tales. But in terms of a structure governing what we consider society, and it having been hijacked by people who are quite literally living off of our lives. I shit you not. We put bread on their table. And we'll never know who most of them are. We'll never meet them. But we work for them. Sure as fucking shit. And there's nothing but proof of that. Unconstitutional taxation is, one of the most superficial ways to appreciate that. And most people don't. They'll claim that taxes pay for roads and they don't have masters and voting matters and all this other stupid shit. Those are all narratives. Official narratives. Our masters left them to repeat. And they do, because they aren't very bright. So you'll have the same kids that are rattling all that garbage off, all my disclaimer statements off. And yet, they will still praise celebrity puppets, whether it's Jamie Lee Curtis. See, in this case, I called, a duck a duck. Jamie Lee Curtis is a dude. Jamie Lee Curtis had to adopt a child, not unlike the Obamas, because, two buttholes don't make a baby. That's not how that works. That's why they adopt. I realize other people do adopt as well. I'm adopted. Just so you know, but that's all another ball of wax. Yeah. I guess my two buttholes analogy doesn't necessarily work. You got to have a penis and a vagina. There's got to be, a pussy and a cock. Otherwise, it doesn't work. It doesn't fucking work. Yeah. And in terms of my family, feel free to assume whatever the fuck you would like, because most people probably would, based on the fact that I just offended you. Yeah. So I said Jamie Lee Curtis is a dude. None of these kids are going to look into that. None of them. Instead, you got a bunch of popular reactions here. Sabrina left me a social engineering sticker to prove that she's stupid. But what do I know? Meanwhile, these superficial children of the Ethernets are defending a celebrity puppet. In this case, a Zionist celebrity puppet, who's in place to promote the agendas, the propaganda. Now, take to heart, there were some 80s movies, some of the horror films that Jamie Lee Curtis is a part of, and I enjoyed them. It could have been anybody else, because Jamie Lee Curtis is only in Hollywood pictures because of nepotism, not talent. That's sure as fucking shit. But that's a whole nother ball of wax that no one wants to think in terms of, because people don't want to think, because thinking is fucking hard. Here's the post. Not that it matters. All I said was, that's a dude. And people freaked out. This one asked, what's her, at, as people call it. So I said, dude in a dress. Just something to think about. All these celebrity puppets, whether they cross-dress or not, for the most part, are pieces of shit. Either way, they sold out and they signed a contract, which means they work for the very people who are manipulating us in the programming. So in terms of people talking about the veil is, being pulled back. Yeah, in some ways it is, and our masters are showing us the other shades, the darker shades of fascism in terms of the programming. You see this on the internet in terms of censorship. In terms of the movies on the big screen, which now are streamed on the little screen, and laptops and iPads and all kinds of stupid fucking shit that way too. It's, bastardizing everything, quite literally. I like cinema. I like movies. It's all gone downhill. And personalities like this, they don't have a say in it. This is why if you watch ads overseas, you'll see all the celebrity puppets selling out over there as well and promoting just ridiculous fucking products. They will do whatever they are fucking told to do. If you think about how much money most of them make, with the exception of Nicolas Cage, because he spent it all, because he's a Zionist puppet and a fucking moron. The other ones, they have money, they have investments. Not all of them, but a lot of the ones that, if you look into it, you will find out there, have enough money. So why are they plugging products in other countries? Why would that be? Out of the goodness of their hearts? It's questionable, is the point. But people aren't questioning things, not shit that fucking matters. The reason I say that, ironically having to do with this presentation about celebrity puppets, this shit is lowbrow, superficial, pointless fucking slop, and most people haven't figured any of this out. Most people aren't asking these superficial questions to try to appreciate why not to praise football, praise sports, praise celebrities, praise this and that and the other thing, just because you were taught to do so. And you were too stupid to think, not to think for yourself, and to systematically reject this shit. To appreciate the fact that it is a tool of manipulation, and these are the puppets who are conducting that, passion play on the box. The small screen or the big screen, however you want to fucking look at it. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. But these superficial people will defend it. And you'll run into this too. They're not going to think about any of it. I know I'm being a broken record because I really want you guys to think about it. If you apply what I'm complaining about right now, and I keep talking about shit and telling you it's an analogy technically, and you could apply this train of thought to other things if you parallel it with other things. And most people, what do you mean by other things? You didn't spell it out for me. Why would we be talking about other things when you're talking about Jamie Lee Curtis? People can't think critically. They can't think abstractly. This is also why they were spoon-fed emojis and 1-minute videos, and the list goes on. Our masters are manipulating people. That's what the internet is in place to do. That's the purpose of the internet in a number of ways. It's also part of the surveillance state, obviously. We're training the AI, and the masses are being dumbed down to such a degree that they're functionally fucking useless to each other, but they're useful idiots to our masters. They're making more obedient slaves out of us. And it's going quite well. And most people would realize this, especially since we live through, emphasis on live through, the enduring agenda I'm not allowed to name because our masters control the DARPA internet and all of these social media platforms, 2020 to present day. And you still see fucking Muppets out there doing that too. They're reaffirming the official narrative, something that does not reflect reality. Because they don't know what a fucking micron is, because they didn't look into it, they bought into it. It's just as good as Sabrina and whoever this other kid is. Incredible convertible. I mean, one of them said, wow, what a chode. And that's ironic in some ways, but why? Because I pointed out that Jamie Lee Curtis is a dude. Now, like I said earlier, I have gay friends. I have friends who have cross-dressed. This is the other point that doesn't come up. Have you ever heard Jamie Lee Curtis in an interview openly state, I am a dude, I am cross-dressing, I am this, I am that, I'm proud to be gay, Have you? No, probably not. And some of you will assume, that's because she's not, it's a she, it's a... Okay, so pick another person out there who's doing this type of shit. Did they? How about Michelle Obama? That's a dude. Same difference. In other words, where we're at right now with the scheme of things, people are denying their nature. They're embarrassed of their nature. And with all of this, I'm coming out. I'm doing this. I'm owning things. This sets back the gay community. And has set back the gay community, if you want to look at it that way. And people should. This is an argument worth considering. If, gay rights are so fucking important. And people want to be empowered, as they say. But that doesn't come up now, does it? And if you don't think Michelle Obama or Jamie Lee Curtis fall into this niche, this category, pick somebody else, because there's quite a few. To say the very least, and that's an understatement. You can also think of, and some people might argue this type of shit, he's also doing this, unfortunately, these days here. Eddie Izzard, Dr. Jekyll. I just saw this last night. I didn't watch it, but this is a corruption, obviously. They're gender bending a character who is male, which doesn't need to happen. It has been hijacked. Eddie Izzard is a dude. He claims that he's straight as an arrow, and that's fine and dandy. But he cross-dresses. That was his, his gimmick in his comedic stand-up. And I think Eddie Izzard is pretty funny. Sometimes he is talented. Other times, he's just a load of wind, and he's just Eddie Izzard playing Eddie Izzard. Just how it works. He's not exceptionally fucking talented. I lost any and all respect when I saw this. Because this is a corruption. This is propaganda. This is a celebrity puppet pushing a fucking agenda. Write a story. Write a fucking story of your own that has to do with this garbage. Don't hijack something that's pre-existing. This is what I mean by a corruption, and this is what you see. You also see the affirmative action version of shit, with, what is it, the Rings of Power, where you got fucking, black retarded dwarfs and all kinds of other crazy shit. And I know there aren't any retarded ones in there, but that's not what Tolkien wrote. That's not how that works. The Easterlings would have dark skin, not the shit that's being paraded around on the small screen, which means it's a corruption, and it's a joke, and it's propaganda. The other one is Time Bandits. The original film is pretty fucking cool. It's pretty fucking cool. And this was insulting. I think it should be insulting to, small people, dwarves, midgets, etc., in terms of Time Bandits' recent show. I don't know. This shit's so fucking awful. I popped on episode 1 and turned it off. They don't have dwarves. Instead, they cast Lisa Kudrow, a Zionist puppet. And she can't act. I mean, that's the last thing you fucking need to see. I mean, Friends was bad enough, and people liked it. Yeah. This is just shitting all over, the small people out there. Why weren't they cast? These are jobs that they should have been able to fill, technically. If there are dwarves in Hollywood, apart from Peter Dinklage getting every role, and I like that guy. I think he's pretty fucking neat, to be honest. I really do like that guy. But again, that's me praising a celebrity puppet who does work for these people and has sold out. Cuts two different ways, right? When you like their personality, or you think you do, or you like where they're coming from with things. You could also think of James Woods. He's a piece of shit, obviously a fucking Zionist, pig. But his open politics on everything really sours the deal. It's not unlike how people probably hate me in my own way. But it does really drive home. I mean, James Woods is a piece of shit. Usually when some of these Hollywood puppets do shine shit like that on, they're always on. In other words, they're always reading from a script that they memorized. They're promoting something even when you don't think that they're working. That's how these people work. Not all of them, but quite a few, especially the ones who are closer to the A-list bullshit. This is why every now and again you'll see a video where they truly fucking snap. And keep in mind, we're human. We all have a breaking point. We're not all, happy, sunshine, nice, polarizing, positive vibes only every single fucking minute of the day. That's not how shit works. But it is kind of fun to watch one of them who is banking on, literally, blowing sunshine up your fucking ass and pushing these goddamn agendas when you do watch them break. I'm picturing, it's not the best example, but that pedophile Tom Hanks, when somebody, and technically I think the reporter, the paparazzi, pushed or bumped into I almost said Tom Wanks's. That's appropriate. His wife, Rita Wilson, another Zionist puppet. And that's fair. I mean, if it was my wife, I'd be pretty pissed and I'd probably snap too. But it was nice seeing that side of Tom Hanks, who it just felt like that was more of a genuine expression of who Tom Hanks is. That's how it struck me. At the end of the day, you decide. That's why I mentioned that example, which you could look up. It's just phony fucking shit all the goddamn time. And then you see that one little moment where they're not acting. And it's telling of the fact that they're constantly fucking rattling off scripts and shit. Whether they're, behind the camera, in terms of the movie or the TV show, etc., etc., etc. You guys probably got the point. I had another example I was going to rattle off, but then I started thinking of Tom Hanks and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Both of them are pedophiles, and there are numerous examples of them separately reaffirming, the abuse of children on or behind the camera is what I should say. But if memory serves me, I think they both were on Saturday Night Live, which is one of the many shows, one of the bad ones in my opinion, where they openly pop jokes about abusing children and people laugh. Keep in mind, some of it's a laugh track, but I haven't seen anybody protesting that shit. I haven't seen anybody speak out about it. Not to where they're willing to do something. Tom Hanks, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Saturday Night Live skit together. Yeah, it's this one. And I think they're talking about eating pizza the entire time. I think they were talking about running for, is it presidency, which is superficial shit. That's what it looks like. I think they mentioned pizza in here. Neither of these guys are, they're not worth their salt. They certainly shouldn't be in this position, but they are. Just like Jamie Lee Curtis and all this other crap. Because they work for our masters, they're willing to do the wrong thing, and they don't give a flying fuck about you and I. They do not give a flying fuck about us. So why would any of us praise this shit? Because they make us laugh? Because they got us to smile? because they entertained us on a day, you know, when we were down and out. I mean, that's how it works. That is how it fucking works. Like I said, I like some of those Jamie Lee Curtis horror movies. But Jamie Lee Curtis is still a piece of fucking shit. Regardless of whether or not you agree with me that Jamie Lee Curtis is a fucking dude who is lying to people and setting back, again, the gay community, or however you want to look at that crap. What the fuck do I know if you sat through this? Thanks for hanging out.